V-Gates, Wargamer fans. Just another little quick video here for you guys. Just picked up a few new items, came in with a UPS man today. I wanted to kind of share with the crowd here. First thing I got today was, if you notice on the last video, I use a really nice painting carousel for my paints. It holds the Vallejos, the Citadel line of paints, and a nice carousel unit. And you can see here I've got the 2 extra shelf kits. I started with 4 shelves. Those are now full, which is another nice thing about this item. When we get done with this segment, I'll go out to the shop and I'll show you the carousel again and the before and after with adding these 2 new shelves on. But it's really nice. You can start with either 2 shelves to 4 shelf unit. The additional 2 shelves here were only $20. Ordered through my Amazon.com account. It was free shipping. So along with the shelves, you get the additional pieces of hardware here. You get your hollow tubes, depending on how far apart you want the shelves to be, and your little threaded rods here and the connectors for the rods. So we'll go out and we'll add those 2 shelves on here in a minute. Another item that I was telling you about on the last video, and if you're just getting into the wargaming hobby and the painting, I can't say enough good things about my primary supplier now, where I'm really getting most of my stuff for the paints and the miniatures, is the War Store, thewarstore.com. It's based in Long Island, New York. I believe the gentleman that runs the War Store is called Neil. Can't say enough good things about them. You can put an order online. By that day, you're getting a confirmation email. It's usually out that day or the next day. It's on its way to you. Never have had any problems. Every order has always been spot on. You know, no wrong items on the order. But I usually buy my brushes. This is how Neil sends them to you. I usually order 3 or 4 brushes at a time. And I was telling you on the last video that the Army Painter Regiment and the Army Painter Detail brush are really the 2 main brushes I use 95% of the time. If I have to do dry brushing, I'll go to the local craft store, pick up some cheap wide brushes just to use for my dry brushing, because you tend to be, it's hard on the brushes. But when you're doing the more detail work, I mean, you cannot beat these brushes. They're awesome. They're the triangular handles. They really fit well on your finger. It's fine red sable. This is the Regiment brush, so it's a good medium brush. You'll probably do most of your painting with this, and then when you go back to pick the details out, you'll use the detail brush. See what I just did there? Some people think, oh, that's gross. Well, that's how you keep your tips nice and fine. Once you clean the brush out, make sure you're not getting, too deep on the brush when you put your brush in the paint. Don't go all the way up to the metal. Only go about halfway up. Periodically clean the brush as you're painting, because you'll notice as you go through 3 miniatures, the tip of your brush will start to dry up. So you'll need to keep cleaning it, and every time you clean it, do that, and it'll preserve a nice crisp point for you. Next time you come to paint, that's how your brush will be. I can get a year out of one of these brushes. Maybe I'll use 2 brushes a year if I'm painting a lot. Okay. So I always buy a few extras. I keep them out at my table so that they're there. The last time I got brushes from them was 2 years ago, and I think last time I ordered 4. I think I basically gave away 1 or 2 of them to friends to paint with. So it's a nice deal. These are $5 a piece. I mean, you can't beat that for a high quality brush. The other item I've got here from The War Store is the little plug for Vallejo here. As I said in the last video, I'm converting all of my Games Workshop / Citadel brand paints with the pots over to the Vallejo line. And you can see this is their wash kit, $22 at the War Store. If you buy one of these singles, they're like $5. So it was a great deal to get the starter kit for the washes. That way it comes with all the colors. I can try out all the different colors and see which ones I'm using the most, which is more than likely going to be brown, black, and sepia. And in the Citadel line, those are usually the big three colors that I used as washes. But you can see here I've got green, there's different shades of red, there's 2 shades of red, there's the sepia, this is a blue, you know. I used a blue / purple on some armor before to give it a futuristic look. So you really have a lot of options here. I'm thinking this is going to look really good when I get my terrain, this green wash. When you do some bronze or a copper color and putting this over, it makes the copper or the bronze look like it's been weathered. So that's going to come in handy for that. But you can't beat that. I mean, you can use these also, I noticed on the packaging, you can use these in an airbrush also, so they're airbrush safe. And obviously you can apply them by brush. Now I did want to point out to newcomers and you guys that may already be starting to use the Citadel or the Games Workshop pots. If you, so there are guys that like those, and that's fine, but I find that you leave the lid open and you tend to dab into the lid to fill your brush up, and over time you get that crust, and then you got to take a dropper. I use just a little dropper, and I get some water in the dropper, and I have to add water to the paint to keep the paint thin enough. Or your only other option is to dab a large amount of paint onto a palette, and I have a wet palette, I don't use it a lot. Onto a wet palette. Romaine on Beasts of War uses basically just a plate with a damp paper towel. You can certainly do it that route. Some guys like to use a wet palette to keep their paints really moist and wet and flowing. I tend to think that gets my paints too wet. So what I like to do is I used to use a small plate, and we'll go out to the workshop here and I'll show you that real quick. A small paper plate, you can buy them so they're coated. They're cheap, you can get a whole package of small paper plates. I just buy plain white paper plates, and that's why I like the Vallejo, because they come in the dropper bottles. And there's a lot of times when I'm just doing a small little bit of details or touching up 2 or 3 models out of say a run of say 20 models, I may just put one little drop of paint onto my small plate, and if I need a little water, it seems like the paint's a little thick, which sometimes the Vallejo and most paints are like this. They'll be a little on the thick side, especially if you're using metallics. So I have a little dropper, and you can get them at any, drugstore. You can buy a package of little droppers. You just get a little bit of water, drop a few drops of water, mix it in with your brush, and get it to the consistency that you want. That way you're not wasting paint, the paint doesn't dry out, and they're just really convenient. The other thing I like to do with my Vallejo paints and my Games Workshop paints is I'll go to a Walmart or a Kmart, at any kind of good discount store that sells fishing tackle, and pick up a large sack of little round lead sinkers like you'd put on a fishing line. And what you can do is you open up this lid and you just pull the top off and you drop a sinker in there, and in the Citadel paints just drop a sinker inside there, and when you shake your paint, that little sinker will move around back and forth and will help stir the paint and keep it from getting thick on the bottom of the paint. It was a nice little trick I picked up off the internet. But yeah, washes. Whole pack of washes, $22, thewarstore.com. Great deal to get all the colors, and you can kind of try them out. that's it for the products. But I did want to put in a little commentary about the Beasts of War. The guys just put up a new video this weekend with their new studio, which is basically a giant shed behind, I believe it's Warren's flat there in Northern Ireland. And let me tell you, that's awesome. I'm really happy for them. It's going to be perfect. You don't need anything big, guys, to be successful. You don't have to go get into debt, and I respect these guys. They've already been through the school of hard knocks. They had a rental a couple years ago. Everyone that watches Beasts of War will know that they went from there to Tabletop Nation. Obviously that fell through with the Games Workshop trade practices. So they finally, through the school of hard knocks, realized, hey, it's more important to own something than to rent a bigger space. They basically went in, they built exactly what they needed to suit their purposes, and they own it. No one can kick them out of there, and they can get the same thing accomplished, which is shooting lots of videos for us. Now, if you're new to Beasts of War, I highly recommend getting on their website, subscribing to Backstage. That is the way you can help fund Beasts of War, so that those guys can continue to make great videos for us to enjoy. And like I've said on previous videos, guys, we've got to put our money where our mouth is. If we value the hobby and we like the things that some of the mini wargaming, Beasts of War, the battle reports, the tips and tutorials, we need to support that financially. So don't be a bum. Get off your tail. Go make an extra 70 bucks and give it to those guys so they can keep up the good work. So that's my little speech for everybody. Let's not turn into the society of handouts, okay? I expect someone to go take from someone over here and give it to me because it's not fair, that I don't have a Mercedes-Benz to drive, right? Well, if you want a Mercedes-Benz, you're going to have to work hard and smart to get it, because statistics show that 95% of people who have wealth have earned it, okay? Not everyone's out there cheating everyone. I started with very little with my wife, and we worked hard and smart. And yes, we made mistakes, and yes, we've had our setbacks. But over time, we have steadily built our business. We have a nice home, we have nice cars that are paid for, we have a nice boat that's paid for. And my message to you is, you can start from nothing. I started as a busboy in an MCL cafeteria. That's where I started, okay? Nobody handed me anything. My wife comes from a very poor family, okay? No one handed her anything. But I'm sure there are people that drive by our home and look at it and say, how did those people get rich, right? I'll tell you how we got rich. We worked hard for it, and we used this. It's called a brain. And every time, instead of saying, we can't do that, our attitude has been, how can we do that? Okay? Just a little food for thought. It seems we're, a lot of the world, Europe, and now the United States, a lot of people are really falling into this whole trap of someone's got to take it from this guy over here who's worked for it and give it to me to make it fair. Well, it's a trap, guys. It is a trap. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to wake up one day and the government's going to take that away from you. And then you won't have anything. And when you work for it yourself, no one can take that away from you except the government. Right? So a little political speech there, but it all ties into the same philosophy of we have to support the things we love monetarily, or it's not going to be there. It comes down to the bagel shop, the donut shop, Starbucks. People gripe about a $4 gallon of gas, but they'll go spend $5 on a latte at Starbucks, right? Why do they do that? Because it's good and they enjoy it. So you got to keep things in perspective. I'm a big car fanatic. I'm into Formula One. Actually, I'm getting into Formula One racing, being a spectator and a fan. A huge BMW fan, huge Mercedes-Benz fan, Audi fan. I love anything German, of course. My son, we just got him a really nice Honda Accord two-door. Those are great cars. But my point being, I over the last year or so become a huge fan of Jay Leno's Garage, and obviously he has a huge car collection, and there are people that bash him, saying he's too rich, he doesn't need all these cars, that's gluttonous. Well, he worked for that money, he can spend it the way he wants. He's also being taxed very heavily for his income. Okay, he's in a high tax bracket. I guarantee you a guy making over $1 million is getting half of his income taken in taxes. And I know this doesn't have a lot to do with wargaming, but it does in terms of wargaming is not a cheap hobby to get into. Yes, you can get into some skirmish style games, but when you start getting into the Warhammers, the Flames of War, it can get expensive really quick, especially when you get bitten by the bug and you know, a little 1,500 point army snowballs into, you know, 8,000 points worth of stuff in four bags, and you're going to have income to do that. So my point is, work hard, work smart, earn your money. Always make sure your bills, your family are taken care of first, and if you keep working hard and keep working smart, and you're doing the right things, the money will come with that, and you can have the extra play money to get into the wargaming and buy more stuff, and it just snowballs from there. And then someone will walk up to you at a gaming convention and say, how could you afford to have all these armies? You must be rich, right? So you'll end up with the same category. But once you start from a little lowly busboy and build your own business up, and you hear people like Jay Leno and any successful person in our culture these days get slammed because he must have cheated someone to have those things. Guys, I'm here to tell you, it's all a lie. It's a lie so you can sit on your couch and feel sorry for yourself, and when you're 60 and wake up to the fact that you should have worked a little harder and you should have worked a little smarter, it'll be too late. Okay, so don't buy into the lie. If you're in your 20s and you're watching this video, there's nothing wrong with washing dishes and waiting tables. That's how you start in life. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. That's what Jay Leno did, and if you don't believe me, study his story, what kind of family he comes from. He didn't come from money. He worked hard. He developed his craft, which was comedy. And a guy on the internet today was telling us about how Jay Leno must have had, he got these, all these stars get lucky. Well, I don't believe in luck. Here's what luck is, and I'll define luck for you. Luck is when ability meets opportunity. When those two things come together, okay? There's this opportunities always floating around out here. And if you don't have the ability, you'll never match up. But if you work on your abilities, which could mean going to a trade school to get some training of some kind, going to a college, working for a plumber and becoming a tradesman, and when you've got the abilities for your career or your vocation, and this opportunity is all the way out here always floating around, boom, success. That's what makes success. The problem is a lot of people are walking around out here they've got abilities that don't meet what the opportunities are out here, okay? Like going and getting a degree in fine literature, okay? And the job over here is for computer programming, this opportunity for computer programming. Those aren't ever going to match up because nobody wants this ability. Very few people want this ability, right? The only people that want literature degrees are professors. If you want to be a teacher, an English teacher, that's going to be your opportunity. Okay? So food for thought. I got a little off the beaten track here, but $70, beastsofwar.com. Blue table painting, and this is a shout to Sean Gately. If someone knows Sean Gately, you can post this video to him. I say, Sean, you should develop that pay channel you have been talking about. I'll subscribe to it. There's a lot of people subscribe to it if you have a high value, high quality content like Beasts of War does. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. Get off your butt, break out the wallet, and support the community. Okay. Basically that's all the stuff I wanted to cover on this segment of the video. As usual, hit like on the bottom of your video tab there. That will help spread the channel around. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a whole host of videos upcoming here. We're also going to be developing, starting in March, a channel for my business. It'll have tips on there for lawn care and landscape care, since that's my vocation. You know, tips on mowing, tips on pruning, various things that that can help you if you're into that kind of thing. If you have a home and you're looking to keep the outside of your home up. So stay posted. I'm gonna pop out here to the workshop. I'm going to show you a before and after in the carousel. We're going to put the extra 2 shelves on there, and I'll show you those paper plates I was telling you about. Ciao. Okay, we're back out here in the workshop. I wanted to show you the carousel again. That's the 4-unit carousel. I think it's about $45. I've had that thing for probably 2 years. And there's the 2 new shelf kits. There's the shelf kit that I was telling you about. And I want to get in my drawer here and I'll show you the paper plates I use to paint on. You can buy a whole package of them. It's not wax, but there is a coating on the plate so that your paints don't seep into the paper plate. But I'll use this. I can get, I don't know, a couple weeks out of one of these paper plates and you just pitch it. Some guys use you know, little plastic plates. You know, some guys use the Painting Clinic, which is another favorite channel of mine. He likes to use tiles. You can go to a hardware store and buy little pieces of ceramic tile, and then you can soak them in the sink, and you can put your paints on the tiles. I don't know. I just kind of gone the way of the paper plate, and it seems to work fine for me. So let me shut this thing off. I'll go ahead and get the 2 shelves added. This is going to be the starting point, though. This top piece, which you can use to spin, you unscrew this. This will unscrew, and there'll be a new attachment for adding the extra shelf kits on there. So let me go ahead and get that added on, and I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, gang, that's it. The Tower of Pisa right there. Although it's not leaning. 2 more additional shelves now. They're pretty well spaced about the same. As you can see, that's perfect for having plenty of space for your Vallejos. They're all spaced evenly. This one just looks odd because it doesn't have any paints in it. But probably shift these citadels up towards the top. We're starting to get rid of those. They're starting to get kind of low. And those will be Vallejo. So you see how nice it is? It holds a lot of paints. I think now that thing will hold 100 paints pots, 100 paint pots. That's a lot of paint. And then DVD player, you pick those up for $100. When I get this area redone, when the basement gets refinished, this is going to have a nice flat screen with a computer down here. So I can watch my Netflix, DVDs, I can get on the internet and surf while I'm letting things dry, and I don't have to go back into the office. I can just keep that shut up for business. So that's basically it. Pretty easy. Unscrewed and unbolted.